And the next topic for today I want to hit, and it's very related to this topic, has to do with what we're doing in sex education in this country, and this kind of cultural Marxism idea. And every time I talk about cultural Marxism on this show, I get one of our listeners sending me messages or posting on YouTube or wherever they're listening saying, there's no such thing as cultural Marxism. That's not a real thing. You're just making the right makes up that term. But there really is such a thing about cultural Marxism. And I want to tell you what it is. I did not make up the term. I didn't make up the concept. The concept actually came from an Italian communist who understood how America was not going to surrender to socialism, Marxism, communism. America wasn't going to surrender to it if you just present it as, hey, look, America, you have this beautiful, free country, this country rooted in Judeo-Christian values. You have prosperity, you have abundance, you have freedom. Throw it all away and come join in with the socialists, the communists, and the Marxists. They soon realized America would reject them. It's one reason the Marxists in this country have turned to using race as the pivot point to argue that America should embrace Marxism, which is what BLM is doing, because real Marxism, socialism, communism are nauseating and no one wants them. No one who understands them wants them. But there was, on the subject of cultural Marxism, there was an Italian, I guess he likes to be called a philosopher, a communist Italian named Antonio Gramsci. And he talked about the idea that the way to take down America, the way to take down Christianity, which he recognized was upholding America, is to go after our culture. He specifically wrote about and advocated the idea that in order for the ugliness of socialism, Marxism, communism to make their way into American society, you had to eat away at the Christian faith. You had to eat away at the idea of what churches teach. You had to eat away and work away at, destroy the beauty, the goodness, the greatness of what's taught in Christian churches. And this is what he advocates. His language. Socialism is precisely the religion that must overwhelm Christianity. Socialism will triumph by first capturing the culture via infiltration of schools, universities, churches, and the media, by transforming the consciousness of society. This is what cultural Marxism is. This is what they are doing. This film we just talked about, Cuties, is an example of just undermining America's culture, undermining our nurturing protection of children, undermining our sense of the innocence of children and the right place of intimate relations as taught in religions instead of as taught by perverse people who are trying to sell films and make money by over-sexualizing our culture. So Gramsci wrote about this. He wrote specifically about going after communist warriors. He wrote, and this is actually Cleon Skousen writing about the former FBI agent who wrote the book Naked Communist, who wrote about the effort of the communists to take over America. And he wrote 45 communist goals. One of them was calls on communist warriors to infiltrate churches, replace revealed religion with social religion. Revealed religion is based on scripture. The communist concept of social religion teaches citizens to look to government. We're watching this unfold in front of us. And so the cultural Marxism attacking America, one attack is along the lines of sex education in public schools. And I want to tell you about something and urge you to read the website yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. Read the website yourself. Comprehensive sexuality education is a very, very trendy term on the left. Comprehensive sexuality education, CSE. The gist of it is to use public school education, to use sex education as a means to destroy Christian morality, to destroy what parents have for centuries, for millennia, taught their children through the course of churches, through reading of the Bible, through passing along to their children their understanding about sexual morality. This is an idea to circumvent the Christian family, circumvent the Christian church, go right from the communist Marxist destruction of our country right to the children through sex education. And so this massive effort, international effort, funded by Planned Parenthood, blessed by United Nations, massive, massive data available for you to read to understand more about it. But this comprehensive sexuality education, CSE, includes things like teaching children that they should accept and explore diverse sexual orientations and gender identities, promotes high-risk sexual behaviors, including anal and oral sex, by teaching that they are safe, promotes sexual pleasure and promiscuity as a right for children. As a right for children. Teaches abortion, of course, is safe, no consequences, encourages young children to experiment sexually with individuals of their own sex or the opposite sex or both. It claims access to comprehensive sexuality education is a human right. It teaches children and youth that they are sexual from birth. I could go on and on, but you have to understand, this is not just the next stage in public school education, and we're going to do a little more teaching children about sex education. It's not teaching. It's not informing them about facts. It's advocacy about morality relating to sex. And you can see kids coming out of our schools. Not every school district in America has this, but it has filled schools around the country and around the world, and filled them with the thoughts that are inconsistent with what many parents have been trying to teach their children, and inconsistent with holding on to the culture and fabric of America. So you can understand why kids coming out of schools that learn this kind of thing look at the Netflix film Cuties and say, well, what's wrong with that? Hey, it's just like next step, hey, we're cool. So I'm going to talk more about this issue, but I want to just wrap up the show today. One more quick story. But I want you to think about the idea that when you look at your children or your grandchildren's public school curricula, do not assume that everything in it is the product of reasonable assessment by people who are rooted in the American ideas of individual liberty, rooted in the ideas of the founding of America, rooted in the ideas of Judeo-Christian values, rooted in the belief that parents have the right to teach their children about morality and Christianity and what they want them to believe about it. What you see in public school curricula is an agenda-driven effort by leftists to use cultural Marxism to undermine the place, the strength, the purpose of church in society, Christianity in society, families in society, to uproot all that thinking out of the minds of children and replace it with their anything goes sexuality, any identity goes. You don't really have an identity. You're not really a boy or a girl from birth. You're whatever you think you are, whatever you want to be. It's not designed to inform your kids. It's designed to advocate advocate the abandonment of commonly held, millennia-old ideas about sexual morality. And even my doing this topic on this show, I'm going to have commenters on YouTube, on Facebook saying, oh, you're being a prude, you're being a Puritan, get with modern times, who are you to dictate what other people think? And this is the question, actually, because this is one reason people don't speak up. They hear these kind of things in the schools or in their communities, and they think, well, who am I to speak up? Who are these people pushing comprehensive sexuality education? Who are they to be telling your children what they should believe about sexual morality? Who the heck do they think they are? Who are they to be telling your children what they ought to believe about the rightness and wrongness of sexual morality? Who are they to have any role in the public schools teaching sexual morality? We had sex education in our schools whenever it began, I think in the 60s, which was supposed to be just making sure everybody had the facts straight about the birds and the bees, so you didn't have kids unaware of things. Whether that was a wise choice or not back then, what it has become today is an avenue for advocacy funded by Planned Parenthood, in large part the CSE agenda funded by Planned Parenthood, all designed to make sure children abandon the morality that they learn from home, abandon their Christian faith, embrace this anything goes, seemingly no rules, no consequences idea that the left is pushing. People need to speak up on our side. If you go to the website, the Comprehensive Sexuality website, which I have up on my website, I don't know if I have that right here, but on my website, americacanwetalk.org, on the homepage under shows, drop-down list of links, I put a link to this website that explains what is actually in the comprehensive sexuality education your children may be learning. Children around America, around the world are learning, because on that website you can sign a petition saying, get this out of our schools, and you ought to sign it, because it's preposterous that these people think they have more of a right to teach sexual morality to children they don't know than their own parents do.